you stop looking for it in a way as though it's going to show up in a job title, in a career, in a relationship, in a city. You know, the purpose of our life, occasionally, it's not that it never comes in the form of what we do. Gandhi, clearly, the purpose of his life was, yes, to bring independence to India, but more than that, to be a historic icon of the power of nonviolence. Yes, we could look at him and say that was what he was put here for. The rest is just the plot. And there's, a few people in history like that. Occasionally it happens. But for the vast, overwhelming majority of us, our purpose is not going to be something that's as specific, as grand, as obvious, as linear as that. The ultimate purpose of why we're here, according to the spiritual tradition, is to realize your oneness with God. To realize the truth of who you are. That divine truth within you. And when you realize that, then whatever you do, you become a blessing to the world. Because whatever you touch, whether it's a balance sheet for a company, whether it's someone's elbow while they walk across the street, whether it's a sandwich you're serving in a restaurant, whatever it is you touch, it's going to become a blessing through the fact that it's coming from you. And how you serve it and how you do it and who you are as you're doing it is going to have a ripple effect on the people around you and on the world around you. And so never think that anything is too small. Because the purpose is never one that's measured by grandeur or bigness or fame. It's about how in line with your ability to stay connected to who you are is it. Because that's really what you're called on to do, is know who you are and live that in every moment. And who you are is not a CEO or a secretary or a mail clerk or a window washer. That's not who you are. That's just what you do. Whether you're the CEO or you're the window washer, either way, you're doing it to put bread on the table. In neither case would you do it if you were working for free. So they're not who you are. They're what you do. The purpose is to discover who you are. And then, sure, some of what you do may change. Typically, it's going to change in terms of how you relate to people, day-to-day things. How you eat, how you shop, how you live, what you buy, how you relate to people in the world around you, how you relate to nature, the natural world. That's going to change. But what's going to change on a very, very powerful level is the energy that you exude of knowing who you are. And you then literally become a blessing to people, whatever you're doing and wherever you go. Because what you're doing then is opening the space for others to also discover who they are. If we're all living as these false identities and reinforcing each other's false identities, we're not going to get anywhere. But if even one person has an experience of the truth and commits to living as that, well then when you interact with them, they're going to interact with you as your truth, as your soul. And that opens the space for you then to live as your truth, to live as consciousness, to live as that beautiful experience of love and truth and light. So that's your purpose. And you may find a job or a career that fits it perfectly, a life path that fits it perfectly like Gandhi did. But he didn't find it, it happened. I mean, it wasn't like Gandhiji sat in his room in Gujarat and thought about, all right, what's my purpose? It happened. It happened through experiences in his life. Because he was clear. And so the only rule of thumb is stay clear inside. Stay as open-hearted as possible. So that whatever comes, whether it seems big and exciting and romantic or whether it seems small and boring, if something inside you starts to tingle a bit with maybe this is it, have the courage to go with it. Because if you're still in your thinking mind, it's going to be like, well, that's not what I thought. That's not what I'm supposed to do. That's not, up to who I am. That's not cooler than what my sister's doing or my neighbor's doing. How am I going to, post that on Facebook? If that's the criteria that we're using to measure and judge, then we all get lost. We have great social media profiles. We get lots of likes and comments, but haven't found your purpose. And every day, again, you've got to make up the face. Got to find, the right plate of food, the right cappuccino, the right sunset, because, you got to post that again. Because it's not just about making an image, it's about holding it, sustaining it. It's a train to nowhere. So stay open, really open, with your highest goal, not being what are people going to say, not being is it cooler than what my friends are doing or exciting, or is it, something that makes me feel really important. Because, your purpose may be something that has nothing to do with your job. Nothing to do with it. The example I always give about this is, see those poor people who are chopping big rocks into medium-sized rocks and medium-sized rocks into small rocks on the side of the roads here in India. When they do road construction, despite the fact that we've had technology of laying roads for God knows how many decades, nonetheless, here it's still done by manual labor of people literally by hand chopping rocks into little pieces that then become the gravel. And sure, on the one hand, it's good. It keeps people employed. On the other hand, I just wish there were a different way to keep people employed. But it's obvious. They weren't put here on earth to chop rocks. That's not a life's purpose. That's not a dharma. But maybe their life's purpose is to bring home enough money that their daughter can get educated. And their purpose is to be the first family in their village whose daughter goes to school. And that's a purpose. But if while they're chopping rocks, what they're thinking is, well, this is stupid, this is a waste of time, I'm meant for something much bigger than this, forget this, they're going to miss. They're going to miss what the purpose is. And they may never know what the purpose is. They may have passed away. Because chopping rocks on the side of the road is not, one that comes with lots of health benefits. They may have passed away long before the trickle impact of sending their daughter to school became seen in the village. And one of the young girls of one of the other houses ended up becoming, the prime minister, who knows what, or a scientist who discovered a cure for cancer, whatever she became. But she never would have gotten sent to school if her parents hadn't seen them send their daughter to school. Now, this is the kind of stuff we don't know. Sometimes we may, at some point in our life, catch a glimpse of, that's what it was about. But sometimes we may not. And this is why in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is just so clear and emphatic about just do your duty for God's sakes. Don't worry about what you'd rather be doing. Just do your duty. Chant my name, take my name, surrender to me. Know that I'm in charge and I'm looking out for you and for the whole world. Stay open to me. Get rid of that ego that thinks it is the giver of life and the taker of life. Get rid of that ego that thinks it knows how things are supposed to be. And just do your duty. The rest will take care of itself. And so you keep walking. Literally, you just keep one foot in front of the other, as mindfully as possible, as courageously as possible, knowing that the universe has put us here for a reason. And fortunately, the universe knows what it is. If it chooses to share that with us, that's great, it's a bonus. But at least the universe knows what it is. And our job is not to necessarily be the knower of it all, but simply to be a willing, a courageous, a mindful, a humble, a ready instrument in the unfolding